Then, from within the silver armor, Leon answered with a furious roar that shook heaven and earth. They're not my weakness. Before the words had even fully landed, blue, white lightning exploded around Leon. Like an ancient thunder dragon, breaking free of its chains, he hurled himself toward Constantine, with a world-shattering force. A sharp cry split the air, lightning tore through the pitch black night sky, dyeing the entire battlefield in a dazzling blue, white glow. The collision that followed was deafening. Broken stone and smoke were blasted into the air by the thunder's impact. Constantine lay, apt away from where he stood as Leon's lightning magic smashed into the ground and sent up clouds of dust. Before Constantine could even prepare a counterspell, Leon burst out of the smoke and charged straight at him. Under Leon's relentless storm of thunderous attacks, Constantine had no time to launch his own assault, and could only spread his dragon wings in defense. It was a fighting style unique to dragons. When they couldn't overpower the enemy, they turtled up. He unfurled his crimson flame dragon wings, hard as iron, and shielded his entire body. His dragon scales gleamed red with a cold crimson sheen beneath the lightning. His voice was full of arrogance and disdain. Your movements are indeed swifter than those of the silver dragon clan, but attacks like this will never break through my defense. A dragon's wing defense was an absolute barrier, engraved into their bloodline itself. Constantine was convinced that, with this flawless defense, no matter how fierce Leon's attacks were, they could never harm him in the slightest. What he did not realize was that this extreme arrogance would become the greatest cause of his defeat. Leon's countless combat experiences and deep muscle memory were all awakened at once. He instantly adjusted his posture, planted one foot on Constantine's dragon wing, and used the momentum to leap into the air and circle behind him. He knew dragon battle habits too well. When dragons used their wings for full body defense, it looked airtight, but, in truth, at the point where the wings connected, at the back, there remained a massive fatal gap that could never be covered. It was a draconic instinct, and a lethal blind spot no dragon could ever avoid. Constantine saw only a flash of lightning before his eyes, and his heart jolted in shock. A terrible sense of foreboding surged through him, and he let out a startled cry. Before Constantine could react, Leon's voice rang out from beneath the helmet, cold and clear, like a final judgment. Then I suppose you don't know this either. When dragons use their wings to defend themselves. Constantine's pupils suddenly contracted. He finally realized what Leon meant, and tried to turn and defend, but it was already too late. Leon's figure turned into a bolt of lightning in the thunderous glow, and with a punch that gathered all the power of his lightning, he smashed down on Constantine's back with world-shattering force. Rat Ms. Thirsty. Blue lightning crashed down like a celestial river pouring from the heavens, slamming violently into Constantine. The explosive blast engulfed the entire battlefield in lightning and smoke. Leon had thought that this close-range ambush, concentrated with all of his thunder power, would be enough to pierce Constantine's dragon body and end the battle once and for all. But what he had not expected was that, as the Dragon King of the Crimson Flame clan, Constantine's physical body had already reached an utterly inconceivable level of toughness. This thunder strike, powerful enough to flatten a mountain peak, had left only shallow marks on his dragon scales. It had not even fully broken through his defense. Leon pulled back and withdrew his attack, opening some distance between them. Looking at the figure still standing firm in the smoke, Leon spoke with a trace of surprise and admiration in his voice. As expected of a Dragon King, tough as hell, even a point-blank thunder lunge like that couldn't punch through your body. The smoke slowly began to clear, and Constantine's figure gradually emerged in the firelight. Violent crimson dragonfire coiled around his body. There was not the slightest fear in his eyes, only killing intent, fully ignited by rage. He stared at Leon, speaking one word at a time, his fury almost enough to set the whole battlefield ablaze. Cosmo, you've made me angry. That roar exploded like a thunderclap, making the entire earth tremble. His dragon power erupted completely. Towering crimson flames swept across heaven and earth, dyeing the night sky blood red. The surrounding rocks melted instantly under the intense heat, turning into seething magma. Leon looked at the enraged Constantine without the slightest retreat. He slowly raised his hand, blue lightning gathering in his palm once again. His voice was cold and resolute, filled with absolute confidence. Is that so? Then once I kill you, you won't be angry anymore. Those words completely detonated Constantine's rage. As the supreme ruler of the Crimson Flame clan, he had spent his entire life pursuing absolute power. Never had anyone dared challenge his authority like this, let alone a whom he regarded as nothing more than an insect. A trace of extreme killing intent flashed through Constantine's eyes, and the crimson dragon power around him surged. Again, his draconic pressure spread, overwhelming in all directions, as if the entire space itself were about to freeze solid. Human, in his fury, Constantine fully unleashed the source power of the dragon race. Soaring crimson inferno swept across the battlefield, transforming it into a living hell. His voice roared, red like something rising from the abyss, shaking mountains and rivers. You will pay for your Ferreira. Scarlet dragonfire surged like a wave. Cliff walls melted instant, lie in the unbearable heat, turning into molten lava. In the darkness, Constantine's colossal dragon silhouette slowly appeared. His crimson vertical pupils blazed with murder-roused intent, and his draconic pressure crushed down from all sides as if it meant to grind the entire world to pieces. Before such absolute power, even the air itself seemed meant to ignite. Leon, clad in silver armor, stood before the flames, his cloak whipping wildly under the assault of dragonfire. Yet he did not retreat in the slightest. In Constantine's eyes, the sheer intimidation of his Dragon King true form should have been enough to make any human who dared challenge him collapse in terror. He intended to force Leon into absolute submission before overwhelming power. But Leon's response shattered Constantine's arrogance completely. Looking at the enormous dragon silhouette before him, Leon showed not the slightest fear in his tone, only pure mockery and disdain. So you just turned into a slightly bigger lizard. You really think that's enough to scare me? Those words were like the sharpest blade, stabbing straight through Constantine's pride. In Leon's eyes, Constantine's so-called Dragon King true form was nothing more than a larger lizard. His so-called draconic pressure was nothing but empty intimidation. Leon had seen too many powerful dragons, and he had slain countless enemies who tried to crush him with brute force. A trick like Constantine's meant nothing in front of him. Leon's fearlessness completely ignited Constantine's fury. He let out a heaven-shaking roar, opened his enormous maw, and poured out dragonfire like molten magma, as if he meant to swallow Leon whole. Faced with this deadly strike, Leon showed not the slightest panic. He slowly raised his hand, blue lightning around him ready to erupt. I've killed plenty like you,